Okay, so apologies for the late start to the meeting. So you can an issue to nearly resolved, but we'll anyway. So just a reminder, it's the Farnham board here at the Town Council of 20th of March. The just in terms of any apologies from any of the board members, we had any. Okay, I'll assume that Councillor Follows is here. This is online. Everything else is here, but everybody else is present. So minutes of the last meeting and the action points from that. So the LC WIP, the local cycling walking plan, it was requested that an addendum or be published on the web page also and circulated to Farnham members, and that has been done. In relation to the town centre, a request for a small supply of additional York stone paving, which I assume is for the town council to retain. That's been completed. The FIP team to review the location and dominance of boxes. Again, that's has also been completed. And there's apparently an opportunity for town council to do some art on the cabinets, as you are a craft town, and access to craft people. That sounds good. Then a request to review the 2026 programme in order to minimise both duration and disruption to the town. So I think a couple of things just on that. I think it will be helpful to have a meeting with officers and indeed with the contractors to look at the works. I mean, we're told that they are ahead of schedule in broad terms for the project. But as we know, there have been some delays. There are some delays to the completion of the paving on the borough, whilst the contractor awaits the supplies to arrive. I think having spoken to the manager or the lead individual for Ringway, can I just please ask residents to be patient with the work, appreciate, and we knew that this was going to be hugely disruptive, when we knew that it was a 2-year programme. The delay to the arrival of the paving, so it is unfortunate, but some of the Ringway staff are saying that there have been some sort of verbal approaches to Ringway staff, which has caused concern to the managers and indeed to the staff themselves. So, in the nicest possible way, please, if residents could just be respectful of the work that they are doing. It isn't the contract, the worker's fault at all. So perhaps if that message could just be passed around. Having said that, it is still, we'll come on to this, but the borough is expected to reopen after next weekend. Which will be good news for everybody, and hopefully it will be less disruptive. We knew that this stage was going to be probably the worst bit of it all, and then we'll come back in terms of then the completion of the paving works in due course when we've got that scheduled in, which is why there'll be a further meeting, but also working with Ringway to complete the bits that are sort of unfinished, so that we can try and get as much of the town back to normality as possible. So grateful to everybody for their tolerance. It is absolutely understand, particularly for the businesses, but all things being equal, the town centre and the works will continue on Carl Street. The town centre will be reopened in time for Easter, and hopefully we'll have a bit of sunshine and everybody can come and enjoy walking around Farnham. So So, and then I think so I think all of those actions have been followed up in hand. Okay, so then should we move to an update generally on progress? And I think Elaine, you're going to lead us through this.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to kind of draw attention to everything that's been done before, because I think we all kind of move on to the current project, and it's really important that we look at the programme, you know, the Farnham infrastructure programme as a whole. And if I start at the top, we'll probably come to it again later, but the HGV restrictions, we've done them in Castle Street, we've widened them out to the Hampshire, beyond the Hampshire border. We've also got cameras now, so, you know, they really are. It's going to be hard to get unless you're delivering, etc. Any HGVs in Farnham. The wayfinding's all up, and I've been watching it as I've been walking through town. People are actually using it as well, so it's, you know, that's a real positive. The A325 road reclassifications is a very old one, but you know that has always helped through traffic as well to make sure that it goes.
Sorry to interrupt. We have had some communications on the works for the FIP where they've actually entitled it the A325 for the works that are impacting West Street. So
yeah, that
just keeping that.
Yeah. Actually, Waste team have actually. I think it was just a lag with one team notifying the other.
Okay.
It's the beam. I think use them
No, in the room.
So, just on the A325, there is still one sign on the Sheffield Flock roundabout that references the A325 that was raised to me this morning by a resident. Okay. So I think it's one we've discussed previously, but it's still there, so if we could.
Yep, I mean, the next slide.
Could I just say one comment? I think it should be noted that the change in the traffic of heavy vehicles through the town and up Castle Street has dramatically reduced since these initiatives have taken place. We remember, don't we, Tim, when there was literally convoys of dumper trucks going up and down Castle Street, and that has pretty much 99% stopped. So that is a success.
I've given Tim some stats.
Well, you have. I've got the page on it. I think it's 1,000.
1,301 PCNs were issued.
Wow.
50 days.
Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they all will be ticketed, because some will be through traffic, some will be challenged. It takes 21 days, etc., etc. And then they've got a 6-month challenge period. But there's a lot of PCNs.
1,000 or 1,300 just shows you how many vehicles were coming through the town. So yeah, I mean, again, you know, it took a while to get that to the second, and hopefully now those vehicle, that will be registered on the sat nav and so on. So it's
Good job.
If we could use these, because it is picking up in the room, but which is assisting with our recording. Thank you.
So on the next slide, I'd like to remind you of our Busham Bridge, the luminous Busham Bridge now. I mean, there's quite a few things. I've put a few pictures. It was obviously painting the bridge, which Tim helped with, and it worked well to get there. It is much more visible. The vegetation was cut back. We had new signs. We had observation signs as well. I have gone to Network Rail to ask for stats of bridge bashes, but touch wood, I haven't heard any recently. So it's obviously more obvious. The Water Lane roundabout, the Toucan crossing, we do that, and kind of adjustment of the lanes going into the main roundabout. And I've watched quite a few people cycle across it, so that's obviously working well and what's needed. Duncan, who's on the call, he's A31 speed management, the reduction to 50 miles an hour, I think it was, Duncan, along that stretch. And if you don't forget the big A371 corridor scheme, you know, we did get that approved by Treasury to go to OBC. Obviously, it's a changing environment at the moment, which we'll come to later. But you know, it's really positive for Farnham. Next slide. Cut it.
Yes.
It does take a while to load because there's so many pictures.
Yeah. Should run 2 next time, so I'll assume.
I'll start chatting. So the 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in Upper Howell Road, the town centre, and Wading Lane. I've had positive feedback as well with that. The additional crossing we put in the Upper Howell Road is being used quite a lot, and speeds hopefully. We obviously got the town centre works at the moment, but they'll be reduced as well. We on the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan. That got approved and endorsed, and I'll come to it a little bit later of where we are on it, but we've got a plan before any other town in Surrey, so you know that was really good that we moved forward on that.
Just ask one question on the 20-mile-an-hour. Have all the road safety audit findings been dealt with now? Somebody asked me.
There was one I think, which had one brackets on that, which just being looked at. So it's just like this. You'll see a bit of 21. It's just being re-looked at.
It's only
Replaced.
it's only until you look at that picture that you do realise how narrow the streets were in Downing Street.
Yeah.
The pavements
Horrible.
and how many people got hit by wing mirrors and everything. Brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you. I think for the next board, we need to do a bit of before and after with the town centre because it would really show. We'll get some imagery done as a sliding sort of look at before and after. And today on a sunny day, it's looking lovely. Next slide. This one I like to use as an example. We've had some recent discussions about inclusivity of design of different genders and you know the safety of an environment. And I remember going down Riverside particularly and thinking, you know, there's a lot of scrubbing. This is a winter one, so it doesn't look as bad, and we've done clearance on before, but it was very oppressive as you walk down. And actually, even the care home, they kind of had high fences and it just looked different. And then when you look at the after, I mean, it's a lovely section to walk down now, you know, and you see younger people as well using it. You haven't got pockets of undesirable behaviour. So I personally use it as an example of really, you know, inclusive design actually on this one. And if ever there was a good LC example, I would say this is one of them. And so moving on now to the next section. So this is the other section. So obviously the one in red was Riverside, and now the one in blue is Borelli's. Obviously this had to wait till the bridge went in because we had a bit of delay on this. And the bridge looks lovely. I mean, we talked about this at some point, and I'm pleased that everyone kind of stuck their neck out and said they wanted a more attractive bridge. I noticed this morning the lanterns are in now. So it's Narnia we have now. And it is looking very beautiful. We've still got some outstanding work, so we've still got some landscaping because the water has been, you know, pretty heavy over this period. We wouldn't want to go in and just kind of any topsoil at the moment. So I'm also doing some attenuation areas as well. So that's why we want to come in when the closure's on for the South Street and just finish up the works. So it'll be nice and tidy. And obviously Farnham Town Council will be doing the planting and the trees, which will be going in as part of Crest development and obviously continuing it. Also, just a really nice note, I'm going to have to go to my notes on this because I can't remember the actual sawmill they're stored in. But on the back boxes, which are going in Riverside and Borelli's on the trees, they look, I won't explain that. I can't look through the slides.
Mulberry Park.
Yeah, so because of the ash dieback, they've kept some of the trees and they're stored at Northern Park sawmill, and we're going to make the boxes out of the ash dieback trees, which is obviously positive because that was an awful thing that happened within Surrey with ash dieback. And so they'll be going up as well.
So there's some apprenticeship schemes going on.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah.
Can I just add something? So we've got a section in the middle that is out of the scheme for lighting. So the town council have paid for the lighting that's going to be in the little bit in between. That's all on order. We've had some ducting put in to obviously take the power for that between the 2 points. So it will be fully lit. Which will be great. Obviously, sadly, the little bridge at the far end is currently closed, but just to ensure that all of that is lit, we've got that coming shortly.
On the little bridge, have we established a plan to fix the little bridge? Do we know who it is or?
That's sitting with Waverley at the moment.
okay. That's everything on Burns. Once I can actually go. Elsie Webb.
So, Gilbert Clare isn't here today, so I'll just read his statement. So, the project summary scheme information is now included on the Surrey web pages and provided as an update. The feasibility design stage 2 is in progress for the agreed priority cycle and walk schemes identified within the initial LCWEP stage 1 plan and addendum. The expected programme is stage completion June 26. The scheme design gateway reviews were undertaken in March. I think there was a workshop held on the 10th of March with councillors. The consultation on the consultation on feasibility scheme design options to follow in summer to autumn this year. They're currently looking at some funding opportunities for capital delivery stage of these schemes.
It's more of a question for John, actually. Just in terms of the scope of work for feasibility, I just wanted to understand whether or not that would normally involve consultation with the bus operator, because I know in the feasibility designs there has been some discussion about making changes to the bus infrastructure, which I'm, as a local councillor, not particularly comfortable with. But I understand that it doesn't seem like engagement with the bus operator is happening as part of feasibility, but I don't know what the scope is.
We'll pick up on the specific, the more general point, we should talk about something that if it's going to be joint distance carriageway, if the intent is to wait and improve what's off carriageway, the general needs to talk to them, then feasibility from the public got to make sure that's got necessary and the discussion.
They have said they're happy to be involved.
Sure.
Okay, that's the update on the LC web. So item 4 then, the town centre improvements. Yeah,
Yes.
Can you just bring your microphone, because it is picking up the ambient it's picking the sound from that.
Was it done? Don't want to go.
Just said it's far from you.
Yeah.
John's got quite a quiet voice and he was turned away from the microphone.
No, probably. I'll stay for everything. Yes, so good morning. So this is obviously just an update of where we are on the town centre improvements. And I think I just want to echo what Nate said about the overall FIP programme, that we have done some good work already and, you know, we're progressing well, acknowledge the bump in the road, but I think we just want to concentrate on the work that has been delivered and the fact that we are programming for completion by the end of this year, which is effectively slightly ahead of the original programme, which did move on to next year. So what we've got on the plan here is a phasing programme. Now, initially the phasing programme was quite simple. It was broken into 13 phases, but as the work's progressing, we've tried to break down some of these phases into sub-phases so that we can more easily manage the progress and the delivery and keep the stakeholders, members and the public informed. So it is, looks complicated, but I think that the key thing from here is that the green areas have been fully complete. Some of the blue areas are well in progress. So I think once we get the surfacing done, phase 13, Victoria Road, phase 8A, I think when we get to the end of May, certainly for the next board meeting, there'll be so much more green on this presentation. So if I really just go through the next slide, which is actually complete works that we've completed. So this is just an example of some of the images from the Longbridge Lane and Union Road junction. It was taken yesterday, I think. The sun was out yesterday. So I think just to emphasise, we've completed the new junction. Traffic signals were installed, planting was installed by Farnham, and we've just finished putting all the street furniture in. That one. So that's Catherine's going to. Oh, sorry.
Well, so on the traffic island, there appear to be some bits missing, and there's a pole with nothing on it.
Yes.
So could you perhaps give us some feedback on what we're planning?
Okay, the contractor was instructed last week to replace them. They were theft/vandalism. So we've instructed Renway to put them back.
These are the
bolted
to the.
Yes, so they weren't just loose signs, bollards. They were physically removed. But yes, we've got no more comment on that one.
And I think just on, I mean, we walked around the town this morning, and I think that it's a good example at the end where those red bollards, the red things are. You know, if we can try and get some of these small bits completed, because that then does make that whole stretch, you know, into Victoria.
Yes, so every photograph which has been completed in the distance, you can often see some red barriers.
It's only a small section, so hopefully that would be.
Could I raise a couple of queries? Actually, is Victoria Road open now? Because I haven't been to look.
It's open to traffic. It's not fully complete.
Okay, great, good. Yeah, just the green marked on the plan before on the previous slide. I think that was Farnham Street.
Yes.
And you say fully complete. However, I just want to confirm whether there are any more conservation type bollards going in to protect the green areas,
Yes.
greening, and also the posts which are galvanised silver, whether they will be painted and top caps put on them, and perhaps cut to an appropriate height and just, you know,
Yes.
basically just trimmed up and made good.
Well, that's the next slide, so I can comment on that.
Come on to it. Okay.
It's if you go to the next slide from the Downing Street, there is it's acknowledged there's until we finish at the end of the year, there will always be snagging items. So I have marked it as fully complete, but there's a bullet point just there. So I acknowledge there's some additional street furniture and replacement covers to be installed. So we will be going back, and I can confirm that we've instructed the contractor to replace all the galvanised signposts with black, and those will be installed basically over the coming months as and when they get, including some additional street furniture, bollards and things. So that's all in hand.
And it's
And the bins are getting swapped over shortly, I
Mm.
believe.
Very good.
So, sorry, Kathleen.
I'm sure we'll talk about the pimple paving.
Oh, in terms of, this is, we've got an ongoing snagging list. And one of the things that we had a helpful walk around last week, there are some of the pimple paving, which is getting overrun. So we've instructed Ringway to reinstall those on a much more robust construction. So that's been instructed, and we are just trying to work out when, where and how to coordinate all those works. again, with the emphasis on minimising disruption.
We've got a couple of bollards already in schools protecting a greenhouse.
Yeah,
You know, because people do cut the corner and you can see their wheel tracks going through there. So if we can get the other bollards in to protect the other green areas and the pedestrian areas as well, which I think will actually help to identify visually the pedestrian crossing areas, to help people sort of know where they are. But it's all good news, and I've got to say it's a much nicer environment walking up and down not Castle Street, Downing Street, pretty much that's right. Yeah, it's gradually getting there.
It's frustrating though, because at the top of that one there, I think is where to the labour, there's a big tar mark on the corner, and also they've damaged the edging.
yes,
You know, so quite why people can't drive properly. Right? I don't know, but we're just showing you to have the bollards there to stop just force people to vehicles to.
yes. So we have got a programme of putting in not necessarily just bollards, but maybe looking at bin locations for cycle loops, so that we don't end up putting so much clutter that we revert back to one of those earlier images. I think it was on Downing Street with the wands all the way down. We want to try and open it up. So we acknowledge it and we're addressing it. Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff, just one thing. So there's been some work done outside one of the shops where one of the scaffolding poles went through the slabs and has broken the slabs, and there's 2 patches of tarmac that have been installed in the newly completed paving, which is, I'm hoping you can talk to us about. And also if you could give us an update on the snagging list that's with utilities as to what the timescale is to fix that. Particularly there's one on the east side of the road, about 3/4 of the way up, where the cover keeps moving and it creates a huge drop and it's really unsafe. So I would.
As you know, it's challenging, so it's in progress. But I think I will reach out to your contact. Sorry, not your contact. An appropriate person in the management of British Telecom to assist me on my way.
Could I add a good news story from BT and Homes England? So requests via Homes England to cease the lease of the 2 telephone kiosks on the corner of the Royal Deer Junction. And they have actioned that now with the guarantee that underneath will be paved.
Years to come, Jim, they'll go, they got rid of that historic BT.
Unfortunately, they're not red ones.
And on that area, that corner where Jenny's just been referred to, was the historic milestone.
Yes.
So presumably that will be reinstalled somewhere where the buses won't hit it.
It's an unfortunate incident, but yes, that was certainly going to be relocated in its vicinity, and we've got discussions ongoing with the relevant people only this morning, I think. So
Yes.
yes, so we'll take that away. It's just that the bus clipped this.
It's definitely repairable, isn't it?
It's only pushed it over. I don't think it. Oh, is it not? Is it? Oh dear.
We will need to get
Okay.
an appropriate valuation to
Oh dear.
make it good. There is a small bit of damage.
And there is an ongoing obviously with the bus company then around the
Yes.
cost of that.
Okay, so the next slide is glasses on. South Street, Union Road, that's one where we've done all the curbing works, the drainage repairs and things like that. So we're just waiting for the milestone of getting the surfacing. So we've got a programme of surfacing middle of April for about 3 weeks, or with night closure. And we're just in discussions to get the right sort of content on that one. And that will then hopefully mean I can put some more green areas on the plan.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We've been delayed and Duncan Knox has got to go in a minute. I just wanted to
okay.
put him in on the A31.
Oh, let's
Yeah,
just so,
A31, we'll get back.
yeah, just to be clear about that, you're talking resurfacing South Street, Victoria Road.
Union Road, West Street, there's a whole, basic everything. The road will be resurfaced apart from Castle Street.
Right, got it. There's Duncan, we'll go to you then.
Do you want me to just lead in with the A31 so we don't have to go back? The A31 remains a priority, Surrey County Council. However, given LGR timings, local funding decisions will now fall after vesting day. So we've asked the DfT for flexibility and as they review the MRM programme. Without this, the scheme risks falling out of the programme due to timing rather than priority. So Councillor Oliver has set out Surrey's position in a letter to the Minister earlier this year, but we're still waiting for a response. So, I don't know if you wanted to add.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, so Tim and I had discussions about this morning, and I'm doing from a parliamentary point of view, writing as well to the DfT to ensure that they understand the urgency of and the importance of this scheme, and obviously the number of tragic incidents we've had at the Hickley's Junction, Hickley's Corner, over the last few months, I think emphasises the need for the DfT to really understand that something needs to happen urgently at this junction, and I should make that point very clearly to ministers.
And on that note, I've got Duncan Knox on the call, who just wants to say about what the highway safety team are doing in regards to the A31 junction.
Yeah, thank you, Elaine. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, we've had 3 incidents with pedestrians, as you're no doubt aware, in the last few months. Those incidents are not linked in any way. There's no pattern. They're at different locations in different directions, and so on and so forth. Nothing has changed in the infrastructure that's there, and the police have not raised any urgent concerns over the quality or the state of the infrastructure. But nonetheless, we are looking into anything and everything that we can do to improve the safety of the junction in the kind of shorter term. So I just want to run through some of the things that we've been considering. So we've commissioned and completed speed surveys on both approaches on the A31 to check in on the viability of retaining the 40-mile-an-hour limit that currently is in place heading towards the Shepherd and Flock roundabout. That was introduced as a kind of temporary measure whilst the Brightwells access was in place, and it was expected that it would be reverted back to 50 once that's closed, which it now is. But instead of doing that, it might be better just to have a 40 throughout in both directions from, say, Waden Lane Junction to the Shepherd and Flock, just to bring the speeds down, because irrespective of what is causing or leading to the collisions, if the speeds are lower, then the risk is less and the severity is less as well. We've also just completed some red light violation video surveys to check if there are any incidents or any patterns of collisions disobeying the red traffic signals. Again, I just want to emphasize, there's no expectation or thoughts that any of the incidents necessarily had any speed or red light violations associated with them, and we won't know the details until the police give us that in after detailed investigation. But nonetheless, we're looking at these things anyway. Just want to emphasize that. And the street lighting, we don't think there's anything wrong with the street lighting, but we are nonetheless asking our contractors to just give us a double check and a technical assessment of that. There's some louvers on some of the pedestrian signals that don't exist on some of the PED signals. These are where they restrict the vision to the people directly opposite the crossing point, so that people on other stages of the crossing don't misread the green man from a different stage when it's not their turn to cross. So there's an opportunity there. And we've also politely requested that some of the flower troughs be removed from the pedestrian guard railing, because they are causing they can reduce the visibility between the pedestrians waiting to cross and approaching traffic. So we've asked the town council if they wouldn't mind removing those, please, just out of an abundance of caution. So that's everything that we're looking at just now. Thank you.
And I'd really like to thank you for looking at the loopers thing. I know that a local resident raised it, and I know that it's not necessarily something that's contributed, but I mean, it's something that's very much appreciated that that's being looked at. If you could give us any indication of when you think that might be done, that would be appreciated. I know the other idea that has been raised is that obviously there are lots of pluses and minuses to mobile phones, and unfortunately they are a distraction to pedestrians crossing roads. And there's obviously no indication that that was involved, but just asking or flagging to pedestrians to have some additional focus on how they cross that junction, because it is a high-speed junction, is something that I wondered whether we can consider, whether it's some notes or green cross code type thing. I don't know what we can do, but if there's something that we could do, I would really, really appreciate it. I know that some local residents have raised that with Farnham Town Council, and it would be good to understand how that could be moved forward in your view. I know I did write to you a while ago.
Duncan, just before you answer that, we're bringing.
I think George might have got the same point, which is that last night at the town council there was a local resident who was making exactly the point Catherine's making, and what their proposal was to have, where we've got things like the literary festival signage right now, to use that sort of material to do exactly what Councillor Powell said. We need to put some messages, those of us of a certain age, green cross code messages, but updated for things like be aware if you've got earphones or whatever it might be aware of your surroundings. So that was discussed at the town council last night. Town council is very supportive of it. I believe it's a resident initiative, but they're going to go away and decide it.
Yeah.
And FTC are funding it.
And it's also contributing.
Contributing £250.
Duncan, did you hear that?
Substantial.
Yeah, I think I just about did. Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting suggestion. I'll have to take that back and give that some thought. You know, one obvious thought is, you know, if people aren't concentrating on crossing the road, are they going to concentrate on any signs that are telling them to not look at, you know, to keep an eye out, sort of thing. So we don't want the signs themselves to become a distraction either. And yeah, so we'll take that away and have a think about how we can raise awareness. It may be that we don't do it in a geographical location, but there's a general awareness raising campaign. We certainly do that in schools with some of the interventions and theatre and education program we have there, talking about peer pressure and mobile phone distraction for young adults, where they become particularly vulnerable when they start becoming more independent and walking around themselves. But we've never kind of directed that at pedestrian adults, I suppose. So interesting thought.
So to be clear, to the town council, who owns the bit of the highway with the sign, where the sign, which is.
Should I come in just for a bit of clarification? So obviously it would be with the approval of and also Duncan reviewing where such signage could go, because there's actually, what we don't want to do is block the intervisibility, which is where we've remove planters and things. So just backing up, as Duncan said, about not blocking any of those visual points. There is a visibility section on the railing, so it would you'd have to ensure that obviously it was below that. So it's in consultation with Duncan.
Yeah, part of that whole overall package of improvements.
Yeah, we certainly won't be installing anything without obviously any approval.
Okay,
yeah. That sounds good. Thank you.
So I just have one other thing on the A31. There's a set of pedestrian crossings around the Foxbridge roundabout that have failed, to my knowledge, 5 times in the last year. And we've had repair crews come out and look at that. But I don't know what's going on with that set of lights, but it's really a request to John probably to go back to the wider organisation. They are aware, and just see if there's something that can be done to create a permanent fix. Because that is a heavily used crossing by pedestrians going to Waverley School.
I'm assuming the faults have been involved, but we don't.
They
shape the tree, so
yes, please.
And I'll do what I always say. I believe that there's a lot in the where it says that we have over 1 million traffic highways engineers in our county, including myself. But I still, it still would like, as part of the review, the feasibility of what you've been doing, is look to see why you can't put a right-hand filter going from Shepherd and Flop, right-hand filter into South Street. Because, that would take out, in my view anyway, quite a lot of the traffic going up and around. And to 3 lanes at that point, so it shouldn't slow down the A31. But I would certainly like to know why that isn't an option, or why that wouldn't be even if it's a temporary, relatively temporary solution.
Yeah, Tim, I'm very supportive of that idea. I'm not saying that this is the cause of any of the accidents that have happened, but when drivers are frustrated because they're stuck in queues, when they see a moment of space, they often act unsuitably. Let's go further than that. And I think anything that would make the Pickett Corner Junction flow better, I think will also help with safety as well, because drivers will not be as frustrated as they currently are.
This is what she suggests that what about thinking to turn right into South Farm from if you're allowing right turns from Shepherd Fort out the right turns from the Coxwood. If you're allowing it one way, you're stopping the traffic, you might as well allow it both ways.
And I know the kind of like configuration with politician. I do think it's there isn't an obvious solution in terms of how you get round that, whether it's an underpass or a bridge or whatever, but still would be interested to know anyway why that isn't.
It's certainly worth considering how you drive function all the time, and it's worth thinking. I'm not sure it's the right solution for the
long term, maybe not.
It's worth considering.
So as part of our optioneering report, these are things we're looking into to either dismiss, take forward, etc., etc. But I'm hearing exactly what we've all talked about as far as.
I'll keep plugging away.
Okay. Sorry, just on the A31, you did say that for this meeting you would be in a position to share the options that were being developed. I know that all of us, because of the pedestrian incidents, have had a lot of correspondence about crossing the A31, both as pedestrians and as cyclists. So I think it would be helpful, even if you're not quite finished, to have some kind of update as to where you're at some point fairly soon. Okay, please. Yeah.
Okay, Duncan, thank you very much. We'll let you go if you
I've got one more point.
Sorry, if you don't mind, Tim, if I may be so bold, I wanted to mention that there's a couple of other projects that my team have been involved in, particularly in Farnham, that have seemed to be showing great success so far. The Surrey's first 2 school streets on Bullers Road, Farnham Heath End School, is going great guns and has transformed that area, and as has the Potters Gate School Street as well. Seems to be working very effectively. And we've also been successful in a £440,000 SIL bid to improve the pedestrian experience in the immediate vicinity of Highfield South School as well, where at present it's a really horrible place to walk or scoot or cycle for children to get to that school too. I just thought the partners might be interested to get that feedback. Thank you.
I'll just give Duncan a bit of feedback he might not be aware of. Duncan, parents are always quick to spot an opportunity. And so what they're doing at pick-up and drop-off time for Potters Gate is use College Gardens off West Street. It can be mayhem.
Understood. We'll be doing monitoring surveys and following up with, what the outcome of the school street has been, and we can make some amendments as necessary. But thanks for highlighting that. Thank you.
Well, they have, where they've been introduced, they have been very popular and very effective. And something was in my own area fairly recently, there's a lot of enthusiasm for doing them. So I think, yeah, as always, people will.
I know a number of other schools in Harvard, West Surrey are interested in as well, so they've been fed, hopefully been fed into next year's programme, the potential programme.
Duncan, I'll be asking for an update for the next board with some pictures, please.
Will do. Thank you. All the best. Thank you.
So just very quickly on the Hickley's corner one, just a thought occurs at the moment. The sort of red stop man going on is not at eye level; it's sort of up. I wonder whether there was a chance of installing those. I don't know what you describe them as, but those sort of eye level indicators of. I know we're sort of over engineering, or should be very straightforward. But if we're doing everything we can to try to get people to look up from their mobile phones and actually look, it's more at eye level rather than up, I think it would be helpful. I don't know how you describe those ones. That's sort of more.
Yeah, you can get red and green man on the push button console.
Yeah, that's what I'm describing.
Yeah, and that's on the kind of the near side, the pedestrian side of the road rather than on the far side. But you don't tend to have them on both sides. It's either one or the other. But I'll double check with traffic signals colleagues on that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Duncan.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Right, Chair, we back
So
to.
we're back to just talking about Victoria Road, South Street, and the areas where are nearly complete. So I think again, just want to flag up that we've done significant works. Admittedly, some of the paving has yet to be completed, certainly on West Street. But the only other thing just wanted to flag up is obviously there's been an awful lot of discussion on the West, I call the West Street planter. So now that we've finished filling in the topsoil, albeit there's still one small bit to do. Hopefully people can see the vision, and in conjunction with John Wick, we're just finalising the landscaping or planting plan, and we'll pass that through for I think we've done a visual just to give you an idea about the cabinets, which is another thing that's being raised. So I can confirm the cabinets will all be painted black. We've got a black, I call it a knee rail fence around the high side of the planter, and we've got a full planting plan from the designers and a visualisation of what it would look like in a year's time. So we'll pass that through. Catherine.
Just having spoken to some of the Farnham Town Council officers, or having been spoken to by them prior to this meeting, there are still some concerns, as we previously discussed, about slope on that bed and whether or not it will sustain the planting options in the long term. So I do think it would be well worth, you and those officers going out and looking at it before we do anything else, because they do still have concerns about the maintainability of that bed in particular, and obviously also the one at the top down the street on the other side, which I'm hoping will be replaced.
So can I pick up there? Yeah, I think it would be good to liaise with Lucy here at the town council. What's feasible, because I think there is a risk in heavy rain of that washing down actually, but really she's the expert, so I would defer to Lucy on that. On the subject of the guerrilla parking, which you might be aware of, on what will be the loading bay, apparently nothing can be done yet until the markings are down and the signage is up.
Yes.
This is becoming a free parking car park. Waverley Borough Council will be very sad to lose all the revenue, but it is becoming a bit of a car park. I actually saw somebody do an amazing manoeuvre. He obviously spotted a space, and he actually doubled back and reversed down West Street against the traffic to get into that space. It was unbelievable yesterday. So hopefully that'll be done quite soon.
So we are, because we've got the resurfacing programme at the middle of May, so April, sorry. It's trying to fit in some road markings on the current surfacing, which doesn't tend to last very long, and it also requires some traffic management and things like that. So we are looking at a short-term option before we resurface, but I haven't got any dates on that at the moment. No, not yet. So we're just finalising all that. So it is on our radar, and we are seeing if we can do a short-term solution before we fully resurface, where we'll get all the permanent lining.
We've got a post which says.
That's what I say, sorry, I just said, yes, we're looking at posts as well.
And this might not be for you, Jeff, but, and I don't know where this would sit, but NSL, obviously the Surrey County Council Enforcement Company, that cover the town. Is there any way that we could ramp up their visits? I mean, they are pretty effective. When we send them photographs and locations of illegal parking, they do try to attend.
Apparently, and you can just ping them an email, and they'll come and they will do that. They'll just come in, do a sort of an intensive period, just to sort of reinforce the point. If you just if you haven't got the details, I'm able to just ping an email to the manager there.
We seem to actually be getting quite a trend of illegal parking at the moment. You know, people really taking the mickey. It's not good.
Well, I'm just going to raise, I'm not sure anything we do about it, but I gather that the bottom of Castle Street, people are jumping the red lights.
We saw it this morning, half an hour around bottom of Castle Street, and in that half an hour period, there were 5 separate cars that decided to jump the lights across the street. Obviously, then all the cars coming round, blocked. Workers had to down tools, move all the bollards, become traffic wardens to move the traffic around. And that was half an hour where they pretty much didn't get any work done because all they were doing was moving the traffic around. And I don't want to be doing that because that's just idiots. It's really causing a problem.
Mm.
So just on that, I do think that the traffic management at the bottom of Castle Street, I know we've talked about it before, but I think we do just need to look at it again because it is happening. My husband watched 4 cars jump a red light in that same junction in one block yesterday. You know, so there are a lot of issues. I mean, there's a lot of frustration because it's been closed a long time, and obviously all of that will relieve a little bit when it opens up at the end of next week. But it doesn't feel right when you drive down, and I drove down quite deliberately on Tuesday night when I was going to the football. When you drive down, it doesn't feel right. And I can't put my finger on what's wrong, but I think if we can look at it.
I think somebody said we'll have a review, and I also witnessed the jump in the red lights, and as soon as that happened, gridlock. So whether I'll pass that back to Ringway Traffic Management Team, whether there's double lights or additional lining or something. Unfortunately, people take temporary lights. They've got a bit of leeway between the M3, which is an option. Okay, well, if you could just take, I'll pass that back.
I was going to raise this as a general point, but I think probably this is the time to do it. Jeff, this is a massive project, and I think you've been pretty lucky actually that in terms of not much has gone wrong in the overall scheme of things, and you've been cracking on with it. I'm going to speak as a resident of Farnham, and those of you who know me know that we're a one-car family, so I walk around the town a great deal. The issue with the project is my criticism of it would be that it's probably put process over people a little bit. I'm sure that when it was being looked at from afar, the idea that closing Castle Street, getting on with Castle Street whilst the borough was still shut, probably made sense if you were looking at it without any emotions, shall we say. But what that's done, and to be honest with you, what Greg has just described and what Catherine's husband is saying, where people are jumping red lights, getting frustrated, that's because the process is not thinking how people think. And I'm pretty sure that when the borough reopens end of next week, some of those problems will go away because people will be able to turn left, they'll be able to go through the town, traffic will flow slightly better, etc., etc. But I think if we're going to, when we're rescheduling stuff, in particular with the evening closures of the borough, but also if and when there are evening closures with Castle Street, perhaps they could be looked at in the whole, in the round, as it were, and so that rather than, oh, right, we're going to do it now, but not actually thinking it, what the impact might be in a broader sense, I think that would be a good idea.
So in principle, completely agree, obviously, and I think hindsight in 2020, if there hadn't been such an exogenous shock to the programme that we all felt in terms of the paving stock, there would have been a more measured and more programmed approach. It was slightly opportunistic in terms of getting onto Castle Street early, but it was the right opportunity to take because it keeps the overall programme to 10 into the budget, which we can't sign off here. So accepting your points, absolutely. I think the resourcing programme with a degree of flexibility so we can slightly alter that as makes more sense. I do think reopening the borough, finishing some of the other holes, so to speak, in the town and normalising it will help. But to Greg's point as well, there's an incumbency in people's driving behaviours here. I get frustrated, absolutely, at temporary lights, but there's not much we can do from a team perspective if they're ignoring red lights. And that unfortunately just will always be the case. Unfortunately, we are subject to the vagaries of human driving behaviour. Accepting your point, going forward, the intent is to re-baseline the programme again, have a look at it, and as you say, bring in with local knowledge and local experience to try and structure this. The good news is the disruption should be absolutely minimal from the borough reopening, if that makes sense. We're not looking at any draconian closures or full closures going forward. It's more about nighttime working, resurfacing, sympathetic works on the carriageway where possible. So it's flipping for me today as a non-resident, and I think the town's through the worst of it will be sort of 2 Mondays time and 30 when it reopens properly in the borough. But yeah, point well made and point noted, but I think what we won't be able to avoid, unfortunately, if someone decides a red light's not for me, we will always be subject to that, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Really quickly on that one, so same subject. I mean, I do think that, we've talked about it before, I understand there's a red book and the red book says, that they have, the ringway workers have to have this amount of space. And absolutely the abuse of the ringway workers is completely and utterly wrong and something that we need to collectively try to address. But it is also about recognising that pedestrians need to get safely around the town. And it feels a little bit sometimes that some of the barriers are more focused on keeping the workers safe, which I completely understand, rather than keeping the pedestrians safe. And I think as we reprogram that work, it's worth thinking about where the barriers are and whether the access works for, somebody with a double buggy, somebody on a mobility scooter, somebody who's not very stable on their pegs, if at all possible. And I know that you agree with that.
Completely. I would just say, initially as was, and some of the big pinch points, I'm not thinking Castle Street would have more space to work with until we can accommodate what we can possibly need to do in the past.
It's interesting this morning, actually, Ben and I commented on the plan that there were barriers sort of between the road and the pavement, and actually there would be no reason why they couldn't be moved towards the road. And in fact, actually, they were doing that. As people were coming back. So it's things like that, actually. It just sort of opens it up when, as soon as it can. Okay, well, should we move on, Chair?
Yeah, and just to go back, we have for our nighttime closures for surfacing, we've acknowledged the impact on nighttime economy and buses and everything. So the current proposal from any nighttime is from 10:30 PM, which does allow Stagecoach to operate and the normal service until I think it's 1 or 2 back-end buses that will be impacted, but also it allows more movement up till 10 o'clock. So we are taking on board those sort of comments.
I think the last time we spoke here, and it was mentioned, and I've had conversations with them subsequently, I just want to confirm that the Bush Hotel access to its car parks from either direction, then people will be able to get to, because obviously they will have visitors who are coming and going after the 10:30 period.
Yes, so we've already had similar foreclosures at night, and I will say with Bush Hotel, they've been very accommodating, and similar with Ringway, so we've provided additional signage to make sure that they've got access, or they're aware of when they can't have access, so they do send out emails to their guests saying, if you're coming in after 10, use this one and things like that. So that's been working very well on the closures that we've had to date.
Thank you. Just a point of clarification raised yesterday, the closures on Castle Street will only be for nighttime working. So
Yes.
So it's they're not going to be for the whole of the period of the contract. It's only going to be the odd.
And I think everybody acknowledges that Castle Street is so much less constrained than the Borough and Downing Street in terms of available space to move traffic left, right, move pets and things like that. And there's much more flexibility on that.
Just an understanding of how many days closure would help, because the TRO is for months, and I know it's days, so not here right now, but some indication fairly soon to all of us and the businesses as to how many days it will be.
Right. For the nighttime servicing, yes, that's something I mentioned earlier, but we are just finalising the contract because it's such a we're taking the opportunity to do all the servicing except Castle Street, so it would be quite a lengthy programme. It's difficult to say exactly what day each one will be at this stage, so we want to get some advance comms out saying there's going to be nighttime closures between these dates. Look at VMS signs and try and get the comms out so everybody is aware that it's coming, and then nearer the time we'll have targeted signing for each of the affected roads.
But broadly, especially the Borough and the other roads, you're looking sort of middle end of April to sort of start those.
Yes, I haven't got the exact date, but we'll start by
sometime next month.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And just quickly, as we are coming into April, it gives us the benefit of using a better quality resurfacing material. So it's a real positive actually coming in there because it's a longer lasting and more durable. So hopefully it's going to have to go for many, many years to come in.
Well, we're all experts on road services now.
Could I just put in a comment to Jeff, which I was asked to do last night at Town Council meeting, to express our thanks to you for getting the CCTV wheel up and running again. So thank you.
No, that was something that, yes, we addressed, not me personally, because I wasn't here yesterday, but yes, we had a meeting with Shield and the Town Council to hopefully get everything back on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
I think we've probably talked about most things, but the next one was just saying the update on the borough. So I think we'll just move to the programme. I think general questions on the whole of the works today, I think we've probably covered by everything, have we?
Apart from the landscaping.
The roof, Castle Street. I think there is a process that we have mentioned before about effectively, because of the historic issues of doing troll pits pre-construction, we're doing a targeted GPR survey, which is ground roving radar, to identify services which may clash, and then there'll be a process that if there's lots of clashes, then it maybe will review that, the size and location. If there's partial clashes or we're a bit uncertain through the accuracy of the GPR, we'll do some trial polls, and then with all that information we'll have an informed review of these locations and see what we can do. So it's basically based on constraints from underground services.
Yeah, so that's the first piece of work, to identify what is underneath.
Yes, so as some of the areas have already been marked out on site, and then when we walked around, there was a couple that had already been done. So hopefully that's a process that I'll follow up with later today.
Just one other side, there's also archaeology, considering we've got a castle at the top of the road as well. So
Yeah,
it's a couple of things we want to make sure that we're looking at before we go in.
and I think a specific request, particularly in relation to the Tanners Arms, outside the Tanners Arms, because of the loading and unloading.
When we first went to consultation, it was a bank, and obviously
Yeah.
that's changed, but we totally recognise that the team, and the team are looking at reducing the size there. So we've understood that they want some, what was now called it?
F&B, food and beverage.
Right, ask a question. I've heard that there's a proposal that the area outside the tellers might become a loading bay. No? No?
They're going to unload.
It
It won't be soft landscaping.
straws in the wind,
Yeah, I think so.
not the case? No. Okay,
Not a designated load, not that.
No.
It also will be smart
all
stands.
right, well, moving swiftly on then. Could you confirm where ironstone is going to be laid? The method of laying?
So, I mean, Jeff probably wants to come in on this, but we've been working quite hard with our historic team and our laboratory to make sure it's appropriately laid in the patches that are appropriate. And then Jenny went out as well with their conservation,
Sophie Piper from Waverley.
making sure it's appropriate areas. And then the laboratory is the appropriate setting material, so it doesn't move and pop out, etc. So there's quite a lot of discussions over that, isn't there, Jimmy?
Yes, we had a review of all of the historic crossovers and things, and where it was appropriate to keep materials in place as well. And obviously where materials won't work, where vehicles will go over, which we've seen a lot of in the past. So we haven't had any final details of that, but we know that it's been worked through.
So the final details are days away. I'm just waiting for Neil to come back off his holiday to give me the green light, because obviously we had all those site visits. But we also need to recognise that the availability of the ironstone. I know there's stock available, but it's different types of stock than is certainly on Castle Street, the thinner wedged material. So we're just recognising everything and pulling it all together.
And for example, you know where the taxi rank is being relocated to?
Yes.
Very slightly further north up.
Yes.
Up the street. What are they going to be driving on? So will it be granite sets like you've got in St George's Yard?
The new taxi bay.
Yeah.
Yes, those are, I think they're York stone sets, but
Yeah.
yes, there's natural stone sets.
Yeah, so that would be good. So
Yes.
that preserves the ironstone for where we need it.
Yes, so we've got an area of ironstone that we've got to play with, and we are just making sure that we put it in the appropriate place for its use, but taking into account all the conservation issues.
George, I think because that's the detail of the plans, if perhaps we could do, team can share those with you.
Well, I just wanted to really put this on public record, actually, that there is a desire, because it's a heritage area, conservation area, that for the pedestrian areas, not the vehicle crossovers, which was primarily what Sophie and Jenny talked about. They weren't talking, because I've got a confirmation here from Sophie about what they actually discussed. And the traditional way of laying is not into resin or cement, because in fact, if you do that, you ruin that ironstone. It can't be reused in the future. And so the traditional method is permeable, so it absorbs water, it takes surface water from the rain, which is good. It's flexible, so it moves as the soil conditions move, dry, wet, and everything in between. And it is very, very suitable for pedestrian use, not suitable for vehicle use. But if it's for pedestrian areas, then it's very robust and it will last. It won't just pop up. It will stay there. All over the town, you'll see examples of ironstone laid in the traditional manner, which has been there for many, many years. I couldn't tell you how long. So we do need a confirmation that for the conservation area, traditional method will be used for pedestrian areas. And vehicles shouldn't run up onto it. We need to protect it. Anyway, thank you.
Just to acknowledge that through previous officers and anyway, we have located a specialist who will work to the old standards as opposed to the new firm concrete, etc. But we've just got to be mindful, as you say, exactly where those ironstone fixtures are going to go to make sure that they are appropriate location for the surfacing, but also we've got enough of that material to be able to finish off an area.
Is all the Farnham ironstone from the depot put in some secure location? So
There's some discussion. I haven't physically seen it, and maybe I'll come back to you when Neil's back, because Neil's had all the discussions. So as John said,
lovely. Okay, thanks.
We'll come back. We certainly acknowledge. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, conscious of time, I think we started a bit late, but is there anything you wanted to pull out?
I think we've the programme. I think we're all aware of the key milestones. Borough open at the end of the month. We're continuing to work on Castle Street, and with the surfacing at night, the planning is just about when and how we come back to finish off the footway paving areas which are incomplete, which is the north side of West Street and the borough. So there's we're in discussions the best time and method to do that, and what that we shared.
And I think, simplistically, you're not going to program that in until you've got all of the supply within the site.
Yeah. And just to mention, just on all the Yorkstone that we got from the closed quarry, that's all being delivered on site, not on site, so in the compound in Riverside. So that's all there.
Which for George is,
yes,
it's a Scoutmore Yorkstone. It's quarried at the Scoutmore quarry near Rochdale and fabricated in West Yorkshire near Halifax.
So what was the name of it?
Scoutmore. Send you an email.
Scoutmore.
Scoutmore.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And
George, I can send you an email. I just sort of.
yes, and that quarry is actually closing, is it?
It's totally wrong.
I don't know whether it's the same stone, but the Stanton Walk Birchover quarry, which is near Birchover, is still operational and will continue to function.
I think it is. There's lots of different styles, and if you remember, we had loads outside. Some are flame, some are sword, some are done different ways, and it was the colour that was particularly matching with Farnham that we all chose. So that's why it was that particular quarry. It was quite a variance actually across the quarries.
Okay, let's start with
I think that takes us on to Colin.
Yeah.
Actually, can I just quickly, before you do that, can I just make a request? We had a meeting of the Castle Street Residents Association about a week ago, and an initiative came up from the co-chair that we have a commemorative stone as part of the scheme in possibly Castle Street, so I wrote down some draft wording that the English sandstone paving laid here in Castle Street is the last stone to be quarried from.
Oh, is that like the one?
Scoutmore Quarry. Laid in 2026, and it could be by the Farnham Infrastructure Programme. And if the board agrees to this, then I will get a quotation from stonemason for doing that. And I believe if we present it in the right way, the Farnham Society will pay for it.
Can I just make one? Now I know the agenda of it. Let me reach out to Marshall's actual supplier, because I said, where was this Knockstone quarry? He gave me the information. I think to make sure that it's not on all the information that we've got from previous discussions as the quarry is closed. We just need to make sure facts and figures, if it's going to be carved in a commemorative stone. So let me come back.
So what was that about?
It's to the right there. We thought, George, you were going to be a handprint put in a stone or something
No,
like that.
no. It would.
Check all the facts and figures before
Yes.
it goes any
Yeah,
further.
absolutely, absolutely.
I'll go back to
I just want
the owner
to,
of the quarry. Yes.
just want to see whether there's agreement.
I think it's
Yes.
suitable, very. Yeah.
And if you wish me to get a stonemason to do the carving and so forth, then I can organise that and probably get it funded locally.
So it's all, from my perspective, it's all fine. We don't want to say it's the last bit of stone.
Yeah, that's fine.
In 3 years' time, someone, so I will get a comment that we'd like to do that. So we just want confirmation from the supplier.
That's fine, you've got my email address,
Yeah.
and we'll communicate, brilliant,
Yes.
but thank you.
I'll be quick, partly so that's my notes because I'm controlling the presentation now. So we've issued 3 newsletters since the last board. We're now going to 1,715. That is still creeping up slowly. When the last one had an 81% open, that's performing really well. The next one I'm planning to do is once I've had the words that the borough has reopened, I want to have something sort of ready and raring to go to kind of reflect on the messaging you said earlier, Tim, about thanking people for their patience and acknowledging that it's been a very difficult time. I will share the town centre road layout map because we're going back to the permanent road layout again. I'll also be starting, as Jeff was highlighting, about the overnight resurfacing, so we start making sure people are aware of that. And I'm also mindful on that one that a fair few people who live in the town centre, and while it's good for majority to have stuff happening overnight, for a lot of people it would probably be quite disturbing for them, so we just want to make sure that they're aware. The other main thing, just being sensitive of time, is just thinking about how we can continue to communicate about Carsley Street, as you've got a team going up the hill and down the hill, making sure that people are aware of that, what's going on outside their front doors, and the impacts on parking and things like that. But we continue to meet with the businesses each month. We're not necessarily getting huge numbers anymore, but we'll continue to provide that. And we still get triples of media coverage as well. Obviously the Herald we're in quite a lot of contact with, in terms of BBC Surrey recently, and New also Meridian. So there's also those triples going on. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just based on the feedback from Ringway about the abuse of their staff on site, I do think it's, the people working on site, it's not their fault we ran out of slabs. So I do think that we do need to put something out, pleading for people to treat everyone with respect. And equally, something maybe about not jumping red lights, which are putting people's lives at risk. And, that's not a sensible thing to do. So if you could put something out about that, ideally this week, I'd appreciate it. And then you can do something separate on the borough reopening. But I think we're all a bit upset about the idea of staff being abused on site to the point at which they're almost saying they don't want to come back. That's not going to help anybody in the farm.
And where it's really not where any responsibility is correct.
I did put a link, it was at the bottom of the in the last newsletter. There's quite a powerful video that's been produced to kind of respecting staff. But yeah, okay.
I'm very tiny minority and probably incidents flared up, but it's just worth asking people to comply with, both with respect to the work, but also to comply with the traffic regulations. Because
I have to say, when they were in Downing Street, the Ringway guys were lovely, and the retailers really appreciated how accommodating they were. And I'm sorry to hear that they had such trouble further along, because they were very nice guys.
I think specifically following the paving stairs, and that's what's triggered.
All I was going to say, it might be an opportunity to put some positivity out there, you know, I've put some slides together of what we've done so far, you know. We've done a lot for Farnham, you know, 20s and HGVs and Borellis and etc. It'd be nice to kind of say, look how much we've done so far.
Well, I agree, and also to remind people what's starting with this work, which was to improve the air quality, particularly in the borough, and in taking out, you know, some of the traffic around the gyratory. Hopefully we'll have done that and making it more pedestrian friendly and fair. Yes. I don't know whether we could have a little word with Waverley and ask them to get their little machine out to sort of clean the pavements and things.
Don't have a machine.
Yeah, they don't have a machine.
That's very much work in progress. There is an interim manager for the environmental department who's negotiating with BIFA at the moment, and we're hoping that we will get perhaps one, if not two machines, because there's one which is a scrubber. Sorry to get a bit boring. One, and it's got a sucker on it, and it's got a water wand, very good for clearing away sick. So I thought it being done. And the second machine is probably more important in a way. They're both important because it's a high pressure washer, and we need both. And the idea is that they'll be shared with other towns in Waverley, you know, with Planley and Hazelmere and Godalming, and rotated on a sort of shared basis. But we certainly need two machines, and I really emphasise that, one for picking up the litter and one for and leaves and all that, and one for actually high pressure washing, because we're getting a lot of oil drips off
Yes.
vehicles.
Yeah, or just a person in a brush.
Yeah.
Actually, would.
Well, you did mention machines.
Well, yes, but it's just going down the street. There's I don't know, there's some stuff that's come off the roofs or something.
And also Lee Street where all
Yeah,
the gravel's from the dumper truck. Yeah.
And a bit of a wash.
A good sweet all as well. And what I would suggest is if the team can link up, it may be a way of aligning this with the resurfacing programme so that when we do fully open the road for food surfacing, it's got the name at the same time, which just makes that impression to people who are honest and involved.
Okay.
We talked about it. So, as far as the overall programme readiness is almost complete, just be tidy enough for landscaping, town centre, progressing well, we are still on track. Obviously, look, we're now in the feasibility design stage. Any other business? George, I think I've covered your Yorkstone.
And we let Lucy know that there'll be a quantity coming down to the depot. Yeah, good.
Okay. Anybody else?
Just one more thing. So obviously, I think, you know, Micaiah and I are both concerned, particularly with LGR, about the North and South Farnham studies. You know, we had wanted to put mitigations in place before we did the work. Obviously, there was some pushback on that, and it was agreed that we would do it after the work had been completed. Obviously, after the work has been completed, it's now going to be when we're in West Surrey rather than in Surrey. And I guess we're a bit concerned about what the transition plan for that is, how all of that is handled. And I think it would be really useful for the next board to have something written down about how that's going to be managed. I know that Will's on the call and probably could talk for England about the traffic count data that he's got going. And obviously we'll know more when the borough reopens, but it's not just the town centre works, it is also the fact that we've had a massive amount of housing built around the town, which is having a huge impact. You know, we've got the development in Borden, which is thousands of houses, and we've got 4,500 houses being built around North Farnham, and in Tongham and Ash, there's about another 3,000 going in there. So, I mean, it's having a huge impact, not all of which is down to the town centre works. I think it would be good for us to understand what the plan is so that as we go into West Surrey, we understand what we need in negotiating and pushing for.
Yeah, I'll take that away. The intention was to have relevant senior manager come and speak to this. As you'll appreciate, we can't really start because we don't have a steady baseline until the FIP programme concludes, and that is actually running up towards energy a lot. It's important for Farnham, we're going to for Farnham as a number of studies that are slightly going to be starting the LGR. And he would have been here today to join the select committee, but I'll either get ready update for the next board, or I'll have to come and speak to the intention. And then also studies, given the fact that we'll ultimately be able to study by the time it concludes.
Thank you.
Okay, so can I say the officers, I have to say, I mean, it's been a even more challenging period, I think, recently. And very grateful to you for doing some walk arounds with councillors and with others to, you know, just sort of highlight now some of the kind of the areas of concern or actually tweaking. We were speaking to Ringway this morning, and they were very clear on the number of changes that have been made to the programme as we've gone along. But that's right, that we should have flexed things, you know, depending upon what we found and ways of improving it. So you know, genuinely appreciative of the work that you're doing, and indeed to all members for their contribution. We are, he says, touching wood, I think, you know, nearly through the worst of it. The borough reopening and the resurfacing of the roads, I think people will genuinely kind of see, and as Michaela has said, you know, the experience just walking along Downey Street is so that before and after picture is
Yeah,
really,
if we could get that up, I think we could.
reminds me.
Yes, please, if you could put that through comms.
Yeah.
That up before and after, because it's such a radical change.
Yeah, we want to get some drones to kind of really.
Yes.
That's the one, the BBC always do, the sliding scale one, upstairs, we can be assisted in that one thing we did.
Yeah, and then we get the whole montage. But anyway, listen, anything else from anybody? Thank you all very much. I don't know when the next meeting is actually. Does anybody? No, but anyway, it'll be, imagine it probably would be after May now. Okay, thank you all.